will be recorded. So for those who are going to join us late or couldn't make it tonight, they could always play back later. Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to all YBs in Malaysia, Singapore, and around the world. As always, thanks so much for tuning in to our live talk on this beautiful Saturday night. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Michael, and we have Howard over there.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Howard. Yeah, so both Howard and I will be your host for tonight. So tonight we have a key speaker, a very important person, which is Mr. Wesley Wong. Yeah, I'm sure many of you guys know Wesley, especially those in KL or Klang Valley, I guess. Yeah. So Wesley specialized in on this. But how to spell this? Giclee?
Don't worry.
No. Okay, I don't really know how to spell it because it's a French word. I think our people will let us know how to spell it later. Yeah. So it's a fine art printmaking, and he also specializes in art reproduction works. So he is a master printer. Yeah. So his business and the world takes him through an exciting journey in photography back in 2005. Started primarily in digital photography more than a decade ago. He seeks to reproduce what he saw and captured in print. In his quest for better print, he constantly seeks out suitable camera systems which can fulfill the technical requirement for his printmaking works. His profound knowledge in digital photography, color management, and digital printmaking has made him as one of the most outstanding persons to demonstrate and conduct live sessions, from capture to print, with great mastery and handling of Q&A. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Wesley to share his beautiful Giclee fine printmaking and pre-production work. Over to you, Wesley.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you so much, and thanks
you
for the invitation to come on board Yellowboots to this Saturday to share with you a bit about printmaking. Whatever Michael said is all overrated, so don't trust him.
You are actually.
Okay, let's make this into a more lively session. I encourage everyone to ask questions. There are no silly questions. Every question is worth answering, and it is only through sessions like this that we all learn together, and we can actually demyth a lot of things that we thought was like that, and we assume that our knowledge is like that. But there are also certain things that we are not sure. So don't be shy to ask questions. Either you put it in the chat screen, or you can just raise your hand to ask, and during my presentation as well, because I don't have too many slides because this is quite a compact session. So I try to lead you into my world of printmaking by taking a softer landing approach. So it's not too hard, but I can't do away with some of the technical things that I need to put in place so that we are all in sync. And at the end of this session, at least we all gain something and understand something about printmaking. So the word that Michael couldn't pronounce, or rather most of you couldn't pronounce, is actually pronounced as Giclee. So let me just share my slide now, and from there I think we can do better. Let me. There are so many screens to juggle. I should have
Giclee.
I should have set up 2 screens. That would be easier for my navigation. So now I'm down to 1. Okay, so you can see that the art of Giclee printmaking. So yeah, when I put this on full screen, that I won't be able to see any of you already. So if there's anything, please turn on your audio and ask me. Yeah, don't leave your hand or whatever or chat screen, because I can't. Now I'm using PowerPoint, so PowerPoint goes full screen, and this thing takes over the whole screen. Now, the word Giclee is a French word with the meaning to squirt, right? To squirt out. That means to squeeze out something, right? To squirt is actually in a more micro form. So the pronunciation of it is pronounced as Giclee. There's no hard G pronunciation in French. So it's pronounced as Z-H-E-E for G-I. G-I is pronounced as G, and C-L-E-E is pronounced as clay. It sounds like clay. So it's Giclee printmaking. Okay, so anyone wants to try? Michael?
Yeah, Giclee. Yeah.
No G sound. It's G.
No G sound.
Yeah.
Giclee.
Yeah, so it's not like German. German has got this hard sound G, right? Or even English, you have this G sound. Germany, right? So it's like G. G is like you just brush through the tone through your teeth.
Giclee.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're trying to achieve is to solve the conundrum of capture to print. Actually, how do you print? What do you look for when you prep your file? How do you prep your file? And how to make a good print. Okay. So that's what we are trying to achieve this evening. Right. Now, so the whole objective is actually very, very straightforward. From whatever we capture, we want to print. And of course, in between, you edit it. But whatever we print has to jive with what we see on our screen, right? That is a very simple objective. But meaning to say, what you see is what you get. So what you see becomes kind of relative because what the camera sees and what you see on the monitor versus what the printer prints out, more often than not, it does not jive, right? That becomes the so-called problem. But our objective is very simple. We just want everything to jive. We just want everything to look exactly how we see it. So then what are the arts and science behind this, right? Is there a way we can mitigate? Is there a way we can manage this? Is there a way we can control this so that everything is consistent? Fortunately, yes. Yeah, and technology makes it very simple these days for you to do this because software has gotten so much better compared to when I started printmaking 16 years ago. And color management is no longer rocket science, where it's just a solution that you can buy off the shelf. You can run to Cathay Photo. You can go to some of the favorite shop in Singapore or even some in Malaysia to just buy the solution and just install it easier than installing Microsoft Office. And voila, there you go, right? Now, the whole objective of me presenting and sharing printmaking to you is not to make it any harder. If I have unintentionally make it so, that's my fault. And I don't intend to do that. I intend to motivate you to draw your attention and create a higher appeal for printmaking. At the end of the day, I even want to encourage you to stop buying that one lens that you crave for, but put that budget forth to buy a printer instead. All right, because there are reasons why you need to learn how to make prints. Okay, you don't have to print with Wesley Wong, frankly speaking, right? You don't really have to do that. But I want you to experience printmaking for yourself. In those days, in analog photography, you have no choice but to make a print in the darkroom to see the result. But these days, you shoot digitally, right? So by the time that fraction of a second pass, you would have seen it on your camera already. And when you put it on your computer to do editing, you spend minutes, if not hours, right, trying to get your perfect image done in Photoshop or in any other softwares, right? And when it comes to printing, nobody ever thought of it. All that people want to do is to quickly share it on your social media so that you get as many likes as possible, right? But does all these likes translate to quality? No. No. Right, you can rave about all the equipments and lenses and whatever superior things that you have, but at the end of the day, can you feel it tangibly? No, you can't even hold it because it's in pixel form. And most of the time, people are seeing it from their mobile phone. And how big is your mobile phone?
5 inch.
Less than a 4-hour print, right? People can say, "Wow, that camera is so good, the color is so good, whatever." And it's literally in Cantonese called "Gai Tong Ngap Gong." Everyone talking different language, but everyone seems to come to an agreement that it is good. So this good word is not absolute anymore; it's relative. All right. And then some people will say, why that color? Why certain camera has got certain different weird colors? It looks more magenta, it looks more greenish. That's why I prefer the brand and so on. Come on, lah. If you think your Oppo phone, your Xiaomi, your Apple, and your Huawei and Samsung is so good, why do I, as in printmaking, why do I need to use an ISO screen? I might as well use your Oppo screen, your Samsung screen, or whatever, right? Then if let's say, that means Howard has printed with me before, but Howard, do I ever ask you, hey, Howard, your picture, your photo, right? Does it view better on your iPhone or on your Samsung or any of your phone? Do I have to match the print to your phone? It doesn't work that way, So you know where I'm coming from. So yeah, because when you don't print, a few things happen. Number one, you don't understand absolute quality of your work. Right, because you have not put it in a tangible form. Tangible form means a hard copy, like for example, if you look at my video, I'm not sure if can you see my video actually? Yes, I can see.
Yes,
okay.
I can see you.
I print like this, right? Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, it's focused already. Yeah. Okay. So I'm relying on autofocus, by the way. So this is a print, and this is tangible, given that this is the size of print, and this is the material on my hand right now. I'm actually holding a canvas print, and if I were to hold another print, let me see this one. Yeah. So you see a tangible piece of photograph, right? That's why. How many of you actually use the word photograph in the past 3 years, 5 years? 8 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
You don't.
More than that.
Everything becomes image already, right? Image, right? Because everything becomes pixel form already. It's no longer photograph. But photograph is such a cool word, right? But it's such an old word, right? But nobody uses it anymore. It's kind of obsolete. They might as well just strike it off dictionaries. Don't use the word photograph anymore. But when you don't print, this is what happens, right? So, I'm pretty sure many of you use a lot of different brands of cameras, right? Can you tell me which camera is the best? You can't, right?
No.
Because why? Does camera take pictures? It's a trick question, by the way. Be very careful when I ask questions, huh? So, does camera take pictures? No. The photographer takes pictures, right?
Wow.
Yeah. You see, on the one hand, we don't use the word photograph, but we call ourselves photographers the moment we buy cameras. Isn't it weird? You know where I'm coming from? So all these are very weird things that's happening in this very off-tangent kind of art form, you know. I don't even know whether you consider your photography work as an art form anymore, because it actually stands tall as a form of visual art. Unfortunately, when everything becomes pixelized, right, everything is measured by pixels and measured by social media, wall space, and your Facebook, la, Insta, la, Flickr, whatever, and so on, right? The whole feeling of visual art changes, right? It's no longer, hey, how much I feel about that image that I'm so compelled to share it, right? In those days, the only way is through an exhibition. You put it on the wall, a tangible piece of print on the wall. These days, it's so fast, right? 1 second, poop, you're up on Facebook already. And then in the next hour, you just gather how many likes you want. And that makes you feel so good, right? I mean, I do. I like it as well. But you see, does that mean that my work is really good? I don't know. And Facebook always do something wonderful, right? They compress your image so that everything looks kind of good. You can hide all the flaws, right? So then, when you want to really make a print, well, it happens all the time. When customers send works to me, sometimes they send me a few 100 kilobytes worth of data. Yeah.
KB.
Trust me, KB, not MB, okay. And when I look at their EXIF file, sometimes most of the time they keep their EXIF intact lah. They are using what, 24 megapixel, 36 megapixel, 42 megapixel file. How did they end up to be kilobytes? I really don't understand, you know. So it's like you invest so much into your high-end gears, and you rave about all the equipments you have, but all that you can produce is worse than, I don't know, something you can buy from Speedmart 99. You know, it's just like someone, raving about buying a sports car, and then what you do is that you put tire chalup. It doesn't make sense to do that, lah. So then where did all the megapixels go to, right? Maybe you say, oh, because on my screen it looks very nice, ma. When I bump it up on my full screen, on my 27-inch screen or 31-inch screen, it looks very nice, but yeah, that screen, right? It's not a print, right? So whatever you can display on screen, or even you project it up for all that matter, it does not necessarily mean that you can actually make a print at the same size, looking at the same quality. All right? So this is something we must understand today. So after today, I hope you gain something and you learn something, and printing is really bringing you to a much higher level. All right. And there's also one more thing why I would encourage you to start printing, not all your works, but just selective works, is because you learn something that you will never learn: self-curation. All right. When you know that making prints costs you money, you're going to be very selective of what you're going to print. All right. So over years, you would have compiled at least more than tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of images, right? Now, I have often thrown this challenge to my clients, okay? If you can just select 10 to print, They never came back to me in 2 weeks. Don't tell me it takes so much time to look through tens of thousands of images. All right, it's finding 10 that are print worthy is so difficult because somehow they feel that, hey, I have actually compiled megabytes or even gigabytes of junks. You know what I mean? They are not worthy of print. Would I, when you try to put yourself in their shoe, is this worthy to be made into a print and put on the wall? No. There you go. So self-curation comes in. So the moment before you click the shutter, you must have an intention. Yeah, some intention is just to get interest, right? And some to generate interest. So for example, if you take a beautiful portrait of a beautiful girl, obviously you want to share it, that's fine, but do you want to print it and put it in your house, especially if you're married? Yeah, you get what I mean, huh? Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So what makes a good print? Now this one will spend a bit more time, and this is probably where most of the questions will be asked. All right, let's look at it from three perspectives. One is from the equipment side of things, right? The equipment side, what you need to look out for, because any flaws in your equipment or technique will translate into a lesser print, right? That means a lesser quality print. Number one, sensor resolution definitely plays a part. We know that already. But as you know, sensor has to match against optics, right? You cannot be using a very high resolution sensor and match it against a very low resolving optical lenses. It just wouldn't work that way. But things again are relative. So we have to see from which point of view we are looking at. Now, you can be using the sharpest of lens, okay? A 1.4 lens that's so sharp, and you should say portrait most of the time, all right? And your portrait is probably about 5 to 8 feet typically. Let's say an 85 1.4 lens, which is quite typical. Everyone will almost agree that it is quite a nice portrait lens to use. Now, at 5 to 8 feet, your subject matter is probably about, on full frame, is about maybe 3/4 body. Yeah, agree? At 5 to 8 feet away, or even half body at 5 feet. On a crop, probably even less, head and shoulder. Now, if you're going to feel you're going to feel the frame with the subject, and that subject only takes about 30% of your frame, where did the 70% go? Is what you call nice bokeh, right? And bokeh, do you need resolution for bokeh? Do you need 100 megapixels for bokeh? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I've seen a lot of people doing very weird things, They use very high megapixel cameras, but it doesn't demonstrate the prowess, the capability of it. And whatever that's in focus within the plane of focus doesn't look that resolved anyway. So then they say, yeah, because my camera cost me so much, I can't afford lenses. Yeah, okay, I understand that, but sometimes you want to buy camera systems based on whatever you can match within your budget, so that you get what you call best bang for buck, right? Sometimes a lesser lens doesn't need to doesn't mean it's inferior. Lesser doesn't mean that it has to be f2 2.8 whatever. No, those days in film, f2.8 lenses are superior, right? How often you get 1.4 lenses? Not all the time, but these days people take for granted that 1.4 is like the golden benchmark. Anything lesser than 1.4 is like it's more like a consumer range. F2 2.8 is kind of consumer range. Not necessary. So like if you are into landscape photography, do you shoot landscape at 1.4?
No. Definitely no.
Yes and no, Again, it's relative. I always ask you trick question. If you run out of light and you don't want to go high, so then probably it's the only choice, 1.4. What can you do, right? And you forgot to bring your tripod, because you say tripod so heavy. Where got people use tripod these days? Everything is about high ISO, ma. I'm not trying to be nasty here, but I'm just trying to state facts. Because if you look at it from different angle, every angle does have its right and wrong, or pros and cons, right? So it's a bit weird. It depends on where you stand and how you view it, and you will subscribe to the way you do things, right? And there's no right or wrong. It's only nice or not nice. Agree? Yeah.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
now,
very true.
you look at the lenses. Lenses have got so many types, right? And there are more affordable ones. There are not so affordable ones. There are premium ones. That doesn't mean to say that premium lenses are always the best. And when you print it, oh, you see, I can see, that red dot signature of this print. Oh, it must be coming from the certain red dot one. Come on, don't kid yourself, huh? You cannot tell one, frankly speaking. Okay, because you don't just shoot and print without editing, right? And if you are not so well versed in editing, you may accidentally degrade the picture quality. All right. So when you start making photographs and putting them in print, some things are lost in translation. That's what I tend to say, right? So when it comes to that kind, that's very, very subjective. There are of course, if you know how to use certain lenses very well and it's within your kind and genre of photography, of course you will show wonderful results. And I don't disagree that better lenses most of the time do come at higher prices. Yeah. So now lenses has got many characteristics, right? Today we expect lenses to be sharp, but sharpness of a lens is a relative term. Just like when I said, if you were to focus on a portrait shot and you blur off 70% of the scene, so perceptually, if I look on screen, I will see that your lens looks very sharp, because 70% of the view is blur. You know what I mean? So in relative terms, our eyes always look at something which are in focus, well resolved, and is brighter. That is the natural tendency within the first 3 seconds on how we look at something. All right? Things which are darker, usually we pay lesser attention. It takes a while for us to transit our view to look at areas which are not so bright and lesser in focus. All right? So getting focus right is your key, right? Most lenses are pretty sharp these days. You should not be struggling with sharpness of lenses already, unlike 20 years ago or even 15 years ago. All right. Today, even some of the budget lenses performs admirably at the center of the lens. All right. If the corners aren't sharp, does it matter to you if you are a portrait shooter? It doesn't really matter. But if you are a landscape shooter, then it is a problem to you because the periphery performance is not sharp. And then things which are at the edge of the frame is not well resolved. And when you print this, it might be an issue, right? It doesn't look that nice. And we also talk about distortion and fringing and so on, right? But of course, these are largely mitigated by software enhancement and software profiles that can kind of correct that for you, even in camera. So that is becoming a lesser problem these days. All right. Now, any questions so far? All good? All good. That's very good. All right. Now, when it comes to best practices, if you need a tripod, use a tripod, right? Because despite the fact that these days high ISO performance on most lenses are pretty good, but you try not to use that because why? You want to gain dynamic range. And you have higher dynamic range with better saturation and purer signals coming into your camera when you are operating it at its native ISO. Your native ISO is more often than not 100 or even 200, right? Usually ISO 50 is not native ISO to the sensor. All right, so take my word for it. But if it allows you to have one stop of advantage where you forgot to bring your ND filter or you call Howard is not free to send it to you, then then you use ISO 50. That's fine. But be very careful because shooting discipline matters. So that's why I say getting sharp image is not the issue. Getting a well-focused image is the issue, especially when you are using very high megapixel cameras, right? Anything within 24 megapixels is still quite okay. Anything above 24, like now you're hitting 50s and 100s, that's going to be the issue. All right. And shape reduction, image stabilization, all this don't work very well at very high megapixels. All right. You'll find that your IS capability drops by at least a stop or two when you are using the same lens on a much higher megapixel body. All right. Now, RAW conversion comes in many forms. to make you understand the difference in raw conversion, there is a qualitative difference between one raw converter to another. So for example, if you are onto the Adobe workflow, Adobe will convert your raw file in one way and Capture One maybe another way, Lumina can be another way, which is the other one? What are the common ones they use now? Raw therapy, no, not raw therapy. What's the other one? It just slipped my mind.
Lightroom.
Lightroom and Adobe are the same raw conversion engine is all powered by Adobe Camera Raw. So, but some people, when they tell you, oh, I get better result on Lightroom than in Photoshop. Crap, okay? So it's the same engine, all right? But most of the time, we will compare between Adobe engine and also Capture One. So whether you like one or another, I can do both, and both are equally quite there. But in terms of workflow, for my personal and my professional work, I use the Adobe workflow. Not because I am more familiar with it, it's because of the color management system that I follow is easier to be implemented in the Adobe workflow. All right. So when I create my camera profiles and so on, it works faster, easier for me, and more seamlessly in Adobe. All right. Now, editing techniques, editing habits as well is very, very important. If we like to use preset, there's nothing wrong about using presets or even plugins or whatever, but try to understand whether it really takes out any quality from it or not, right? So because sometimes whatever is done in the background is not known, and that may actually degrade your pixel quality. Right. We are not just looking at pixel quantity. That means the sheer amount of pixel dimension that you have at a given camera. But we also look at the pixel quality during editing. And most of the time, this is where the pitfall happens. Things like, for example, you run some noise reduction algorithm. It kind of like degrades your image. Number two, you over sharpen your image and all these things. Right. So all these are very detrimental when you're trying to translate that into a print. It may look very nice on your screen. Unfortunately, when you print it, it looks like all hell breaks loose. All right, it doesn't look very nice. All right, bear in mind that printer resolution is much higher than your sensor resolution, and they are not equal. Okay, I will explain. I have a slide to explain this to demyth something which people thought is the same one. All right, I will talk about it. Now, then on the printer side, you need to understand color profiles, which is a part of color management. How to generate profiles for your printer and which paper to use and all this. These are all very, very subjective because it's again when my customer asks me which paper should I print this on, I will never ever answer it. Oh, print it on this paper. Not because I have that paper in excess stock. No, it's because I need to understand first what is the intended use of this. All right, and then what is your framing method? How are you going to put it up? How are you going to present it? Making the print is not the final part. Framing it up and putting on the wall is the final one. All right, so you cannot just say, oh, I just think about the cost of print and then what size to print and that's it. And then you forget that, hey, I need to frame this up. How am I going to do it? I'm not going to blue tack and stick it on the wall just like that. It's just not going to work like that. All right. So all these are considerations because your final presentation is what people or a third-party viewer would look at. All right. And when you put up a frame print, it is as is, where is for people to judge and critique in its final form. All right, it's no longer in pixel form. So that's why some works needs to be large. All right, large is also a relative word. Large can mean a 24-inch wide, means a 2 feet wide print, or it can be up to 8 feet, 20 feet. All right, I have done prints at 20 feet, one piece. Okay. Yeah, but because of the visual impact, you need to have that size to bring people into your world of what you're seeing. It creates that kind of appeal and impact. If you let's say take let's say Mount Kinabalu you take Mount Kinabalu and you print the 4R size, does it create impact? No. It's just like, oh, okay, it's a reference of I've been there. It's nice because when people hold it at 4R and it's a Mount Kinabalu, what is the first thought that is subconsciously registering in your mind? This is a postcard.
Yeah, it's a postcard.
It's not a Giclee print. It has no glory, right? But when you print it at least, 2 feet wide. You are serious lah. You mean something already. All right. And people, the larger you print, the more people have to back off to view the print, right? Because the impact itself. When I am near to the print, I can only see one part of the work. I cannot see the work in its totality, right? In its right size. So if I print it at 5 feet, I really have to back off, quite a distance to appreciate it. And after adding the frame and all these things, it's just probably going to be a lot bigger as well. So these are creating visual impact which you will not understand if you don't print, because everything is just within your browser. And remember, your browser runs on your screen. Even if you size it to maximum view, it is only Full HD or 4K max. Is it a big deal? 4K is only 8 megapixel. Within the constraint of your 24, 27 or 31.5 inch screen or whatever, or even you project on the TV 60 inch, so what, right? So no big deal. Because why? Even at that, the resolution is only 8 megapixel. Okay, tell me, anyone who has 8K TVs now? Got
no, too expensive.
35 megapixel, it means something. So you are like looking at the contact print. Okay, so printing technologies differs from one to another. So when people say inkjet, it's a kind of, yes, it's a loose word, but they are not entirely wrong, because most technologies these days uses the inkjet print head. Inkjet print head is to squirt ink, that's why Giclee, right? But in the West, when you mention about Giclee print, people always refer it as a fine art print. Now, fine art doesn't mean your work is fine art, You can just printing Mount Kinabalu, right? But because it is printed using Giclee fine art pigment ink print, it's a different thing altogether, like what I'm doing. So what is the difference between pigment ink prints and solvent ink? Solvent ink are for short-term use. Okay, like you're printing your posters, your buntings, your banners, your whatever that is meant for short-term use, and you want it to be cost-effective. That is what it's meant to be. Pigment ink is easily 5 times the cost of eco-solvent inks. All right, and it is meant for archival work. Archival means lasts a long life. Archival lifespan. It lasts a long time. How long? Beyond my lifetime. Okay,
100 years,
60 years and above. 60 to 100, and if you even like you do a canvas print and you varnished it, it goes beyond 200 years anyway. All right. So if your print don't last 200 years, don't come back and look for me. I won't be there. If you're there, you should have told me how to live that long. Okay, maybe I don't want to live that long. All right, now let's look at workflow. Right. So if everyone is on this same page, okay, look at it from capture. I would not touch again on capture, but look at raw conversion onwards. As I have mentioned, different raw converters produces different qualitative results, right? Among the top two, which is Adobe and Capture One, that is very hard to fault one over another. But there are certain camera raw files which translates better on certain softwares. Like for example, Fuji X-Trans sensor-based raw files translates better in Capture One. Take my word for it. All right. Adobe struggles with X-Trans. All right. Until today. But okay, soon things will change because they are beefing up their algorithms and they are implementing artificial intelligence into their engine, which is their Adobe Sensei engine. Things may change, I think, in the coming months. As you know, if you're on cloud subscription, it updates very often these days. Yeah. So sharpening is a strategy. Sharpening is meant to compensate for whatever that is lacking, not due to your technique, but due to sensor limitation. Now, most Bayer-based sensors uses color arrays, right, to calculate colors. That means essentially your sensor is colorblind. You know that your sensor, which is used in your Nikon, Canon, Fuji, Sony, whatever cameras are all colorblind. they don't actually capture colors. They do not know colors. All right. It has to go through a color array filter for it to know what color it is. All right. So by doing that, while you gain resolving power in terms of the luminance values that it can capture. Sorry, some big words here, but you are losing out on color resolution. All right. Your color resolution gets lesser. All right, so you need to compensate that by doing some form of raw pre-sharpening. All right, how much I don't know, but you have to let me know which camera you use. Okay, over the past 16 years, I have dealt with not less than 50 over kinds of cameras, right? Almost on all brands on every level, from the smallest format to the medium formats, right? I know exactly the behavior of every files. So whatever advice that I can give you, it will be quite useful for you to prep your files accordingly, right? But these days, again, as raw converter engines does a lot better now. They actually give you a raw pre-sharpening value. If you open your file in Capture One or even in Adobe, there will always be a kind of like a default sharpening value, right? You notice that, right?
Yes.
So some people say that, hey, Capture One, it actually give me a sharper looking image. Yeah, because the values are just higher, the default value. But when you get everything to zero, you zeroize the values, they all look essentially very, very similar. All right. The only difference is color. All right. The color interpretation, because based on different profiles, are a bit different from one to another. The noise reduction, again, not so much of an issue now, because in those days where we are at 3, 6, 10 megapixels, color noise, luminance noise is quite a big issue, especially during the days of CCD sensors. You know that, right? Now, CMOS sensors are superior these days, right? Even at ISO 6004, it is so acceptable that even you put it on Facebook, you're sure to get your 100 likes in 1 hour, no problem. Now, adjustments are mainly differentiated into two big categories. One is contrast related and color related. The fundamental understanding of color adjustments and contrast adjustments will define the very strategy on how you're going to edit your photo, right? And how you solve fundamental issues at the same time, elevating quality that you want to bring up, right? So I would not have time to go into this, but these are fairly advanced topics that helps you understand things on the fundamental level. It's kind of weird, advanced topic, but understand fundamental level. But this is exactly what it is, because when you try to understand the color space that you deal in, that you work in, and the limitation of the color space, and what you can do, what you cannot do, what you should do better, what you should do less, and all this, then it is a bit challenging. Yeah. So just to give you some example. When you sharpen, you don't need to sharpen on the color channels. You only sharpen on luminance channels. But unfortunately, if you are dealing in RGB color space, you cannot separate the both, right? You cannot separate both. So if you sharpen something in RGB color space, you sometimes will notice a color shift. It's not intended, but it happens that way. All right. This is just to quote you an example. So we will not go that route, because if not, everyone will quit this channel and just end up Michael, Howard, and myself. All right. So the output part, it is important that you work with a printer who understands color management. At the same time, they have a color reference on screen and on print with proper lighting for you to view your print when at final output. Because you cannot work with a printer whereby whatever you print, and when you look at his or her screen, it doesn't jive. All right. So it doesn't make sense, all right? If Howard comes to me and say, hey, Wesley, print this for me, and then when I show it to him, do I have to think of 10 reasons to try to explain to him why the color is not accurate to my screen? Why it doesn't correlate to my screen? I shouldn't, right? That means I'm not a good printer. So some of you may encounter that, hey, when I send my work for printing, how come it comes back a bit darker? That one I will also explain, all right? There's an issue of calibration. All right, so far so good. We have been through very dry slides. So I hope I survive and you survive. All right, so far so good. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we are just going to understand some statements. The first one is, I don't know what I can't see. Okay, I don't know what I can't see, which means if I can't see a particular on my screen, I don't even know it existed. Okay?
That is okay.
You understand, huh? Is that okay? Not okay. Because the color numbers are there, but your screen can't display it, maybe due to a gamut issue. That means if you are working on some low-cost screen, it is good for word processing, good for PowerPoint, good for words for you to type and some simple browsing. But for color critical work, it's not right. And I would like to assume that you view your photography as a very serious endeavor. If not, you wouldn't have spent thousands or tens of thousands into it, right? If it is not serious. But again, all these are relative. If today you're already driving a Porsche and a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, what is 100,000? Nothing, Najib will say his pocket money is only a few $1,000,000 a day. So now, if you view your work seriously and you're spending hours in front of the monitor, my question to you is that, can you trust your monitor? Can you trust
usually?
Because what you don't see, you do not know it existed. Yeah. You cannot know what you cannot see. You understand that? And coupled with the problem that colors are device dependent, which means a color number, a same color value, RGB 25, 25, 30, 45. All right? 25, 30, 45. The same number goes through your screen and goes to the printer. They are interpreted differently. You know that? And to make things worse, how truthful is your camera? Can you quote me one brand of camera that speaks the ultimate truth one? The color is the purest, is the most accurate. Quote me one. No budget limitation, just quote me one.
Howard?
What is that? Sorry?
Quote me one camera that gives you the most accurate color one.
As your reference is a Sigma.
No.
No.
Okay, let me throw you a hypothetical question. Okay, assuming now we are in a studio, all right, and in front of you is a Ferrari, and the signature color is the Ferrari red. All right. Now, I give you all a challenge, a simple challenge, no cost to you. Okay, I just want you to use your most ideal camera, no budget limitation. Okay, you don't even have to buy the camera. We'll supply the camera according to your choice. All right, and use whatever means of capturing that one shot and just print. If you can get it close to the original Ferrari color, the car is yours. Fair enough. It's a hypothetical question. Okay, now think. How are you going to get accurate colors? I give you 20 seconds. First, choose your camera.
My camera. Any brand?
Any brand, no budget limitation. We'll supply to you. Whatever brand? You think that will give you the most accurate color.
Wow, it's a very tough question.
Yeah.
I like that answer. Hold to that word. It's a very tough question because I would like to ask you, why is it tough? Okay, but keep it later. It's simple, right? Choose lah. Phase 1, Leica, Sony, Nikon, quote everything. Ricoh Pentax also lah. Put it
iPhone,
in.
I think iPhone.
iPhone, yes, yeah. iPhone is king. iPhone always make the best billboard print. Okay, 20 seconds up. So I hope you have your choice in your mind now, whatever choice of camera, and then you execute it, right? You can even, I throw in for you, you want the best tripod, whatever, you want human tripod also can, no problem, we hold it. Make sure it's suspend on space, in vacuum, it doesn't move on. Okay, so yeah, take that shot and then you print. And you can you ensure, how sure are you that whatever come out from the printer will be the car color? How sure are you? Yeah. How many of you are not sure? I don't know.
absolutely
I
not
cannot
sure.
see you, by the way. I'm
Absolutely not.
looking at PowerPoint. I cannot see you.
I'm absolutely not sure.
Absolutely
No, I
not
do
sure.
not- I do not think so. I seriously do not think so.
how many of you just started photography in the last two years? How many? I don't know. I can't see anyway. Michael will have to tell me. How many of you have dealt in photography for more than 5 years?
More than 5
I
years.
think quite a number of them, so quite a number of them. Yeah.
I think most of you lah, majority of you, right?
Mm.
So even questions like this, having more than 5 years of experience,
Mm.
can you answer?
I think not into commercial photography kind of answer.
My question to you is, how sure are you commercial photographers know colors?
Oh,
I have seen a lot of commercial photographers doing work. They are most of the time at best 50% there. Why?
I mean,
You know why or not?
you're talking about red. You're talking about red. I think generally it will be just red, but what sort of red, isn't it?
What hue of red, right? Is it a tomato
Yeah.
red or is it I don't know, a magenta red?
Exactly.
Or-
They are all red. It's just that what sort of red that comes out on your paper.
Yeah, you probably try to shoot a Ferrari, end up to having a Honda or Toyota, lah, right?
Yeah, it's just a different red.
Just different only. It's okay one, just different. That's why a lot of photographers like to shoot lang loi law, don't want to shoot commercial law. Because why? No mastery of color management. Understand or not? You see the problem here?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So now, I'm not trying to pull you down. No, because as
No,
I said just now,
Correct.
almost all professional photographers that I see, when I look at their workflow, they don't know color one. Because why? Point number one, it's all from experience, passed down from sifu after sifu. You understand? And some sifu don't get it quite right one. Something they got it right. So it becomes like a working mantra. Everything must follow that way. But workflow has changed lah. Film days until now, it has changed already. All right. Things works differently. There are actually better ways of color management, controlling colors, but they do not know because they have not kept up with technology, cannot keep up with knowledge. Number two is that if they are so sure that they can get it right, why do they need to hire a big DI team? Digital imaging team, all right? Because why? After he shoot, he go yam cha with client, right? The DI team will struggle lah, go and do, try to tick, and then try to get the colors right. But again, out of the many commercial house, at least 50% of them are also doing it colorblind one. Because why? When I look at the monitor they use, I know they are colorblind already. Okay, and many will say, hey, but I use a Mac, ma. Mac is the ultimate, the best, nothing but the truth. I throw you this question. How many of you use a Mac?
I think most of us.
Yeah. Now, my next question to you. Can you trust your Mac screen? You dare say yes or not? Or rather,
seriously, I don't trust. Yeah, I also don't trust.
You never put it to the screen. You never put it to the test, right? You never know. So you don't know. But Apple did one thing very, very well. Very, very well. And that one you must hats off to Apple. Because Apple has no compatible brand, no Dell, no HP, whatever, right? So everything come out from the same factory, right? So every Mac looks the same, right?
Yeah.
It's just like some people say when you tell the lie so many times, it becomes the universal truth. I'm not being sarcastic, but you know where I'm coming from. When you look from one Mac to another, it looks consistent, ma. So to us, everything that you see very often and is very consistent, becomes McDonald's and KFC, lah. You understand or not? That is the reference quality. You say one, you know. But if everyone is telling the same lie, how do you know who is telling the truth? Because none of them are. All of them are telling you a universal untruth. All right, I wouldn't say lie lah. They don't lie lah. They are telling you something that is not entirely the truth. So, but when you look at it consistently enough, it becomes your perceived universal truth. All right. So now, a thing about Mac screen. It's good to invest in a good computer system, and Mac is definitely one of them. I totally agree. All right. But if you don't calibrate your screen, it is not within reference. All right. And you must understand the gamut of display that Mac has. Let's take Mac. Let's take MacBook and MacBook Pro and iMac. These are the three common ones with built-in screen, right? Now, most of their screens supports 100% of sRGB, no problem. But when it comes to wide gamut, do you know that Apple don't conform to Adobe RGB? Do you know that? Now you ask yourself, are you using Adobe RGB in your workflow or sRGB in your workflow?
Very interesting question.
You don't have to answer. I'm just
some people say RGB, some people say sRGB. So
that's fine. Now, those who are on Adobe RGB, yes, it is okay to embrace Adobe RGB, but if you're working on a Mac screen, how do you know that the colors that's displayed under your so-called Adobe RGB tag file are displayed correctly? Do you know? You don't know, right? And Apple don't use Adobe RGB for their choice of wide gamut color space. You know that? You don't know. They use P3, right? They use P3. And it's Apple P3. It's not the industry standard DCI P3. DCI P3 is used in video, right? You know that, right? And DCI P3 uses a gamma of 2.6. But Apple tweak it for 2.2 because you cannot be having a screen that display two different profiles, gamma 2.2 and gamma 2.6, right? So they have to make it consistent with what people would use the Mac for, which is most of the time they also browse, they also do other things, you know. They do whatever. So most of them will be under sRGB. They use the sRGB space, which is strictly 2.2, right? So they have to tweak their P3 to drop to 2.2. Drop means they conform it, doesn't mean degrading in quality. So Apple uses a variant of P3 that does not conform to the industry video standard of DCI P3. But what they have cleverly done is also to grade all their video contents in their iTunes or whatever iMovie, ITV, Apple TV or whatever, right?
Apple TV.
Yeah,
Apple
the
TV,
subscription-based one. Everything is tweaked to DCI to P3 2.2.
I see.
So if you put a content, let's say, I don't know, a Blu-ray content or whatever that's different, that's so-called happens to be conforming to DCI P3 2.6, and you put it on the Apple screen, it looks weird. You might as well just run it off your TV. All right? So you must understand what you have bought into, right? Can you mitigate this? Yes, you can. Calibrate the screen. And between Adobe RGB and P3, there's an overlap. Huh? The overlapping part is about 80%. That means they are about more than 12% of color space areas where colors are not definitive on the Apple screen if you are viewing an Adobe RGB file. Okay?
That's a lot.
Now you know. That's a lot.
It's a lot, isn't it? And we are paying so much.
No, don't worry. It's all okay. It's all okay, right? So that's just for you to know, lah. So you want a solution, then of course there are many other solutions. Just put another secondary display as your viewing reference. You can always do that. That's fine. Now, then the next thing I want to demyth is people talk about DPI, PPI, right? What does DPI stands for? Dots per inch, and PPI stands for pixels per inch, right? Okay?
Yep.
You know the difference between the two, or you thought that both are the same? Who said both are the same? Raise your hand and Michael, let me know.
No, not sure.
Not sure is a very good answer.
Dot per inch is those days dot metric printers where they print by dot.
Yes. Even now?
Even now, they still use the the dot matrix. They hammer down the
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. I mean, it's the same term, but in different quantitative measurement. because printer technology has changed, right? It's no longer a hammering pin, right? So it doesn't really create one dot, right? So the dots are deterred, actually. It's sprayed. That's why we call it Giclee, right? It's sprayed. And the one squirt of ink from a print head is measured in picoliter, 10 to the power of minus 12. It's very, very small. And it takes a lot of small picoliter dots to make up to so-called one dot. You know what I mean?
I see.
So that's why dot matrix is quite rough if you look at it. But for text, it's okay. But you print images, it cannot make the cut one. It's very rough, right? But these days, if you look at the Giclee print, like what I printed for Howard and also for you, Michael, you see that the gradation is so smooth, right? You can't even see a dot. Yeah. So because it's in picoliter, all right? So now, when you look at your image, more often than not, you will use the term DPI as well, right? Do you know that you are making a mistake? Anything that's viewed on screen, including a pixel file, that means a pixel-based file, is always in PPI, pixels per inch. It's never dots per inch. All right? And now I'm telling you, they are not equal. That means one pixel does not equal to one dot on the printer. If that's the case, I'll be damned. I can only make very small prints, like your sensor only. Sensor very small only, right? How do I make prints so big, right? I can't. So that's, you know what I mean? So it is totally a different measurement, and they are not supposed to be used interchangeably. It cannot even be a slip of tongue to a seasoned photographer to say that, oh yeah, my file is tagged in, I save it as a 300 DPI. What are you talking about? 300 PPI, pixels per inch, all right? Because the quantitative measurement of your file, your digital file, is measured in pixels, not dots. Okay, at this point, I'm going to just stop my PowerPoint. Have I stopped it? Yeah.
Yes, you did.
I'm seeing everyone. You have any questions? I'd like to take some questions while I'm going to switch my camera over. I'm going to make a large print, about 30-inch print now as we speak. And when that print ends, I guess that will be the end of our session as well.
Well, we started about 20 old people, now left only like 10.
I told you they won't last.
Too technical, people.
Don't worry. Okay, so I switched my camera. If you pin me, you'll see that I have another small camera pointing to the printer, and it will start printing. I'm printing it at the highest resolution. It's going to take a while.
What size?
30-inch across. It's a panoramic print. I'll show it to you afterwards. It's a shot I took at KL Tower when Canon launched the EOS R. That was about 3 years ago. So I was shooting with the 51.2 lens at f5.6, I think. So I was hand holding and shooting in parts, and I did a stitch panorama. Howard knows me, I like to shoot panorama. Everything has to be panorama. And it stitched up to about more than 500 megapixels. And this is the scaled down files for print. I'm going to print it on my 17-inch Epson printer, as you can see on the video. And the paper size is 17-inch wide, and the length doesn't matter. It's a roll paper. I actually fit in a roll paper. So it's going to come out at 30-inch by 15-inch on the printed area. All right, it's going to take a...
Wesley, can make the printer screen bigger?
Can. Let me create another scene.
Yeah, I think we can't see your printer yet.
Too small.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, while waiting for Wesley, guys, any questions? You may want to switch, vertically unmute yourself and ask the question.
You can see it now?
Yeah, can.
Yeah, nothing is moving because it prints very, very slowly. Very slowly. Okay. Yeah, so you don't expect like a laser printer. Cannot. It will take about, I think, close to 20 over minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay.
I would probably try to reposition this and open up the flap so that you can see the printhead moving, so it's a bit more fun, right? Rather than looking something so boring.
More scientific a bit.
What's the size of this printer? It looks huge.
No, 17 inch, very small.
17 inch.
17.
17.
17 inch is one of my smaller printer. I have altogether 7 printers, my 7 employees. I have 3 17-inch printer, one 14-inch, one 13-inch printer, 1 60-inch, one 44. Where did the other one go? I think the other employee ran away. Okay. Something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a 24-inch as well. That one is why? Because that printer is not commissioned yet. Is that supposed to go on site? So I have, if you want to ask me what printer I use Canon and Epson printers. I have 3 Canon printers and 4 Epson printers, right? The Epson printers are mostly all converted for monochrome already. That means it cannot print color anymore. And it's a fabulous monochromic printer. On my color work and my art reproduction work, everything is done on the Canon printer, right? It's excellent for that.
Wesley,
can you see something? Yeah, you can. Huh? Yep. Someone has a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
It's Edmund here.
Hi, Edmund. Hi.
Ask. Hey, hi. If someone is just starting out and wanted to do like printing on their own, probably for like leisure or some family photos or some photos that they want, which printer would you recommend?
Good question, Edmund. I would recommend you to invest in a 17-inch printer. Don't go for the 13-inch printer for only one reason. Number one is the print speed is very slow. Number two, the cost of per milliliter on the ink tank is very, very expensive because small cartridges cost more. All right. And at the same time, the capacity of the ink cartridges is so low that when you try to make some serious prints, you almost always have to run out and replenish. And it's not fun when you have downtime like that. So you would want to start off with a 17-inch desktop printer. It can be either Canon or Epson. And 2 particular model that comes to mind is this one is actually the Epson SureColor P807. Let me try to put it there on the chat screen. Epson SureColor P807. 807 is the model number in Malaysia. Worldwide is considered as P800, but it's all the same, the variants of it. The other one is Canon Image Prograph Pro 500. All right, the other one is Canon Image Prograph Pro 500. They are all priced very, very similar, and we are looking at about a list price of about 5,000 ringgit, which is actually not expensive. Consider that some of your lenses are even more expensive.
Yeah,
right?
Yep, that's right.
That's for sure.
So the one plus point about the Epson, let me be very objective here to give you a very unbiased view. Epson allows you to use a row feeder. That means you top up, or maybe sometimes most of the time, frankly, you press them, say, hey, throw in the row feeder, they will throw in for you. Row feeder allows you to use roll paper. Roll paper, again, is cheaper in the long run because you can do larger prints. At the same time, you can actually be more cost effective. Cut sheet papers are not generally available up to a certain size. You can get A4s quite easily, but A3 plus, they are usually quite expensive and they are not common. Oh, of course, I welcome you to come to Ilford Gallery and buy papers. I do have them, but not the intention of selling you papers, but that is something you must consider. But sometimes you want it to print on a cut sheet paper is because it looks flat. It's nice. Let me switch my camera to show you.
Sure.
There you go. So it's flat and nice. Versus a roll paper. Do I have a roll paper? I don't. Okay, you imagine this canvas. This canvas comes from a roll, so it's like it will always be very curly. So it's difficult to handle it, because then you need a work table and you need something to stack and all. So you cannot just think of the printer without thinking about your work table, because you need to cut, trim paper and so on. So you need to have a table size which is actually much larger than the footprint of your printer. So all this must be planned. Then of course your proximity, and then most importantly, your lighting. Lighting is very, very important. You cannot rely on your household lighting to give you an accurate reference. Do you know why my skin color looks like this and everything looks kind of like accurate? Because on top here, okay, I show you. No, don't move the camera. On top of my head is actually a aperture lantern. Aperture lantern is an attachment, because I like butterfly. I see butterfly shadow. I'm not a photographer, but I like to make myself look a bit better. All right. At the same time, it is powered by a very expensive LED light that cost me 400 ringgit. One bulb, 400 ringgit. Okay. It has a CRI of 98. Okay. Very consistent color temperature at 5,500 Kelvin. And it's imported from China, from one of the best factory in the world. All right, and it uses a screw-in mechanism, just like your normal E27 bulb. So it replaces that inferior bulb that I use. And if you look at let me switch my camera again. I might as well just show you. Okay, if you look at that light, this light that is now shining on the printer is light panel. Light panel with the CRI of 95 plus. All right, this is the light that I use at home. I'm crazy. All right. So if you look at that one, you see that? On top of me is actually this light. Right.
So you are really want to make sure that everything is pure white.
It's not pure white. It's color accuracy. Now, one thing we must also understand is color temperature and color rendering index are mutually exclusive. All right. Getting color temperatures right is the easy one. Getting high color rendering index light source is very difficult, because it is not something you can add on later. If the light source itself is inferior, you cannot add CRI one. But color temperature, you can balance with gels, with whatever and all this, right? Yes. So a lot of people don't understand. And that's why I say, when I look at some of the professional photographers' workflow, I know they don't understand colors one. And trust me when I say this. Just by looking at the things they use, I know they are not getting it right already. All right. So all these are very important in my line of work. It's also one thing that I have to assure myself that whatever I see something, it is of reference quality. If not, then how am I going to convince my customer? Right? So I'm not here to try to convince you, to tell you why it doesn't look right. I won't sell you things which does not pass my own test. Right? So now, Canon Pro 540. 540 is a very good printer. It is basically the same range as the 500 series. They basically have 4 models: 500, 520, 540, and 560. Now the version is added by one. There's no 501. It's still 500, but 521, 541, and 561. The only difference is size. 540 is the 44-inch AO size printer. That's all. All right. I personally have a 560, which is a 60-inch printer. And trust me when I say this, the larger the printer, the easier it is to use. Really, it's not easier. And if you are thinking of starting a printmaking business, a bigger printer like a 540 will be more viable from the business perspective. Because why? When you make a larger print, you also make more. So your recovery, your ROI is faster. Don't start with small printers, but if you are printing from home, start with 17-inch at least. Okay? A 24-inch printer, you cannot put it on a table one. It usually comes with a stand. All right? And the stand has kind of like a catch, paper catch for you to just print unattended. So when it cuts off from the printer, it will just drop onto the holder. So these are all very important workflows that you need to consider, and also cost of ownership. Now, when it comes to cost of ownership, Epson printers are very expensive. So they use piezoelectric print heads, right? So piezoelectric print heads tends to have ink clogs very often, especially in our kind of weather where humidity level is high. So you must be prepared and don't stinge on your warranty. If you're on a 17-inch printer, that's fine. That's quite hardy, I would say. But if you're on 24-inch onwards, be sure to upfront buy the CAPEX, because they can only give you warranty up to 5 years. All right. Just to give you a reference, I'm still having my Epson printer. I bought it in 2013, and during the period of warranty, or for 5 years, I changed 8 print heads. Then you say, what's the big deal? Print head, it's just like changing engine oil only, ma? No. Each print head costs you 6,000 ringgit if you are out of warranty. If you are out of warranty. And the print head is not user replaceable. That means you need to call for service technician. And service technician need to log in your problem, and they need to ensure that you still have warranty. If you don't have warranty, then you need to write in, and all this, your downtime, you go and calculate. Like if you are doing business, gone already. Then you tell Howard, hey, 1 week I cannot print. I self-impose MCO. On the other hand, Canon printers, regardless of what size, up to the 60-inch size, the print head is user replaceable. Okay, and it costs you a bit less than 2,000 ringgit, or maybe about 2,000 ringgit, which is a lot cheaper. And how often does Canon print head clogs? Never on me. Never. I'm the first owner of the Canon Image Prograph Pro 560, the 60-inch version, and I bought it to celebrate one thing, to celebrate GE14 that Pakatan won. So I bought it then. And since then until now, it's 3 years plus already. It never clocked on me, and I changed the print head once because it is it went beyond the capacity of the print head. And what was the best part is they just need to deliver the print head to me. I change it myself, 5 minutes done. I don't need service personnel, because there's proper instruction on the panel to teach you how to print, how to change the print head, and that cuts down your downtime a lot, and the cost of ownership becomes a lot cheaper as well. And one more thing I need to warn you: when when Epson printer tells you that your ink cartridges is out of ink, don't be very annoyed when you actually take out the cartridge and shake. There's still something inside, because it just wouldn't run anymore. All right. Canon printers don't do this. When it's dry, it's really dry. You try to shake, there's nothing left, no residual. All right. These are all the pros and cons. So then the question is, then if it's a simple choice, I just buy Canon lah. I don't know. Maybe you like Epson. You know, some people like Toyota, some like Honda. Ma. Can you say the Honda one is wrong or the Toyota one is wrong? Right? Cannot. Then Howard drive Volkswagen how? So that's preference. For me, the main motivation of buying an Epson printer is after so-called its lifespan, when it is out of warranty, I happily convert it to become a monochrome printer. And then I get the best of colors in Canon, and I get the best of monochrome on Epson.
I see.
Now, that's something, so you can actually see that, yeah. Okay, I zoom out, and there you go. See? So,
Yep.
yeah, so it's monochrome. So, and this is going to use up a lot of ink, but I'm going to keep this print anyway. I like this. So, any more questions? These are very good questions.
Wesley, I was one told that if you use a Canon DSLR, and
must use Canon one. Yeah, I have also seen people use Canon all the way. Nothing wrong, but whatever it printed out is substandard. Reason is because they don't know color management. So on the safe side, they say everything Canon, just like everything Apple. So when I ask them, is this accurate? No, Because one thing is not consistent, ma. Canon make computer or not? Canon make screen or not? Do they? They don't. So at some point, you exceed the Canon brand, right? And then you edit on your Apple computer, which is not made by Canon, and then you pump it back onto a Canon, and you expect everything to be the same, right? But that's besides the point. It's not the brand. It's colors are device dependent. We already say this already, right? So that's why it cannot be the same. You need to understand one thing: color management. Okay, does everyone drive? Can everyone claim that now when they drive a BMW, suddenly they become professional drivers? Because why? They are driving the ultimate driving machine. That's what BMW will claim, right? There are a lot of accidents happen also. BMW also kaput, right? Why? Because the driver don't know how to drive, ma. They don't understand car dynamics, ma. They do not know what is understeer, what is oversteer, ma. They think everything is a steering only, ma. So they forgot that the car is rear-wheel drive, ma. Everything is the same. Yes, it's the same. It's better to drive a Honda and Toyota. Okay. All right. Good question. Any more?
Giclee, you always do print.
Sorry?
I dare not say anything because Wesley is there.
No lah.
Every time when Wesley
Don't say that lah.
the way that he speaks that make everybody like, oh, am I saying something wrong?
No, if I'm going to spend a short time with you, I'm going to make it fun, but I'm not going to be accommodating to you know. I have to throw you facts that, hey, hopefully it raised some concerns, that it flags something that, hey, from now on, I need to be more kanchiong when I look at something already. Because I think Wesley touched on this, you know. Yeah. Because why? If you're going to invest in something, I don't want you to make the wrong path and hit the wall. For what? So if I'm telling you that, oh, everything must go Canon, then I'm bluffing you, right? I want you to invest in the knowledge of doing color management, not in investing just for the sake of brand. Right.
Anyway, Wesley, in my two weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, when we have also Andy and I have the sharing, we also talk about you. You
thank you.
Go into the detail when you look at editing, and also because we want to go for print. So we do, I mean, really appreciate what you have teach us in the first time when we go to your office to print.
That was fun, right?
Until today, we still remember those things that we talk about. I mean, like today, I do always come back to you to print, but I do print. But whatever that I learned from you and certain basic, I don't understand all those things is important in print.
Yep.
I do remember that's why the day when I shared with them, I said when I go for print, the minimum is 3 devices I will go through, because I don't do calibrations on my MacBook. That's why at least I see in 3 different devices. My handphone, which is Huawei, my MacBook, and also I see in the TV. I cannot say which one is the correct one, but I know that which one I like. And as long as it stay in the range that I want, I know that I didn't go wrong.
Yeah.
I go into the detail, like looking at things, see like what to do. It's because I understand fully when I print something that with a very black background, with the lights on the person, that really make me learn a lot, because it's on human skin. That's reflections when you have black or the shirt and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I really appreciate what you have teach, and also of course nowadays the YouTube, they teach a lot, and some friends around that also help out. So I think that is important. Like what you said, if you don't understand the color, you can't print at all.
Yeah, correct.
You take a journey to understand all this.
Yeah, and also because now I also do some drawing, I also try to reproduce my work.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to give or sell away my
original.
So I use it. So I also learn. I understand where and how. Not everything, but I will like go to the printer to understand the concern, what the capability can do, and what the machine can do, and things like that. I do learn, in the journey. I really happy in the sense that print, capture to print is very important. I learned this and I love this concept. That's why I don't simply click because I know that it's going to waste my time, it's going to waste my shutter, it's going to waste whatever things that I'm going to do later because I need to look through all the photos. I know what I want. When I shoot, I have in mind. So what to do.
But that's excellent, Jenny. You at least you gain from it, and you have the head start because we met earlier 3 years ago. So what is important is maybe after this session, it will just raise a bit of interest on why people should consider printing some work. Because you will understand yourself better and you appreciate your work a lot better. And given that all the things that you have invested in, all your camera gears, whatever, now it's the output, right? You have to look at it in its totality, bring it to the final form from pixel to pigment. And with that, you gain one whole experience and knowledge that you never thought you will gain just by buying more cameras. It won't help you because you never walk that path. So again, if I just now I said that you don't know what you don't see, right? You don't know what you never learn anyway. So you never learn.
True. So it's a long journey that you need the people like like you, like James, like Michael. We all do share things. Go back and think about why I can't do that. What's wrong with those little things. I always said that the little things count. It's just that people overlook what's called detail. To me, I'm the kind of person that this thing, or because of one gesture that I forgot, so I always remember. So I'm looking at things like that to improve myself.
That's great.
All right, thanks, Jenny.
I think
Andrew,
some of them
Neil,
may have questions, right? Yeah, Andrew and Neil has questions. Yeah.
Andrew or Neil, would you guys like to unmute yourself and shoot a question?
Andrew and Neil. Any questions? By the way, Wesley.
Yeah.
During this MCO, you do prints.
This is recorded. Okay I don't mind telling you actually I do go in from time to time to fulfill customers' orders because I got a lot of artist customers and so on who needs works done, especially in hard times like this. They still have to survive, so they've been working very hard to get print sales and all this, and yes, I do go in on need basis. But since I work alone, I have more than 2,000 square feet to myself, so physical distancing is never an issue. What I normally do is that once it's done, like for yourself, Howard, because you are in a different state, so you have to call for Grab, and if you have letter, then you can pick up from me.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, swing over your whatever you need.
Planning a few photos.
Okay, can decorate your new store, right?
No, for my room only.
Your room? Okay, all right.
Wesley, have you moved your office to?
No, I can't. I'm stuck here at least until the foreseeable year end to maybe first part of next year, because how to move now with so many uncertainties. Yeah.
Okay.
For my office one already print the Milky Way one canvas.
Is that the recent one I did for you?
Yeah,
the last one now. Okay. So now the question is, framing shops are not allowed to open, and that's the hard part. So I cannot frame for you. But if you can find someone at Bangi who can actually do it, then it's fine. Yeah. On the shop that's next to me, they don't want to open yet. Yeah. Because the guy that's working in the shop is also a migrant, so it's even worse.
Oh.
They don't want to be raided. Once you raid one time, you gonna 10,000 ringgit fine for what?
Not worth it.
So for me also, when I operate, I don't turn on my facade light. So I just turn on the inner light. So it's as if I'm just going back there to tidy up something and get something. Yeah. But they've been okay. I mean, I don't see any raids coming to Oasis. So that's all right. Will Cafe is open, but you cannot dine in. But they now turn themselves into more like a grocery. So I do enjoy buying Musang King durians from them. Oh, they got Japanese mangosteen, Japanese breed mangosteen. Actually, very nice. Whole set. Super. I got the jackfruit also, and a lot of fruits. They bring in the more premium ones, a bit more expensive, but it's nice. So let's hope the government will change the SOP soon.
Yeah.
Business are really struggling, that we cannot open like that. I got artists who are different zone, they cannot cross, so they also cannot do anything, cannot scan their work, and just so difficult, so disruptive.
Artists need to frame as well. So even though you can print, they cannot frame. So
correct. The whole chain cannot move. Yeah. Oh, it's done already. So it's okay, quite a large print. Let me just cut it out. Let me flip to that camera so that you can see.
It took less than 20 minutes.
Actually more. Now this printer doesn't cut by itself. It doesn't have a cutter, unlike a 24-inch printer. So we have to use the old school way of cutting it. They will draw a line, so then you can just
scissors. Manual cutting.
Yeah, manual cutting. So this is
glossy.
Yeah, it's a gloss photo paper.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hot from the oven.
Hot from the oven, yeah. Yeah.
Wesley, I want to ask you a question. I think many of us actually may ask you the same question.
Okay.
What's the difference between sending our print works to photo books compared to sending a print work to to specialists like you guys?
The difference is very clear cut. First of all, I don't do photo books, and secondly is photo book printers uses different printing technology. Some of them may be on inkjet. Some of them are on the high-end ones. We use Indigo, which is actually digital press machine by HP. Those are actually fairly good. I mean the qualities are pretty good. But those they work on a smaller gamut CMYK, and maybe they can embrace RGB these days. But what they can do better is that they have proper finishing method. That means how you bind the book, how you laminate the book, and that kind of thing, making the cover. Those are the add-ons that you need to complete a book, and these are what they do best, right? So people who runs on HP Indigo machines, they are what you call small volume digital offset printers. Typical offset needs quantity one, right? Yeah.
That's right.
This one are small volume. That means you can do like even one book up to 100 books. If you want suddenly you want 1,000 books, they cannot do one. Yeah, they will have problem. Yeah, trying to fulfill that kind of order. If you have 1,000 and above, then you go for traditional offset. But offset is a hit and miss. It's a chemical process, right? They need CTP and all these things. So color management it doesn't exist. So you need to get the Sifu there, the color set guy, who in their good mood. So in the bad mood, you don't go because they will screw up. And from batch to batch, the color will shift. All right? But for digital pre-press or digital offset like Indigo, no problem, because it's very consistent. So like Photobook Malaysia uses Indigo, I think, so that quality is okay, but it depends on the kind of paper, because different paper quality has got different price point. So I think they cater for more of the budget to slightly above budget kind of people who do wedding albums and so on. So that's okay. But similar printer who uses similar technology but different finishing will produce better results. Like which is the other one? The one Asoka Books in Japan. Asoka Books Japan is very, very famous among wedding photographers, and in fact they need to vet you through to know what you are. They don't do client consumer business, they only do professional photographers business. and their finishing is so superb because they have got UV machines and so on. And you don't see weaving on the UV one. The UV is so flat. It's so brilliant. The images, the colors are so nice. In fact, I myself would like to order, but I can't because I'm not a professional wedding photographer, because they need to check what's your website and that kind of thing.
Serious.
Wesley don't do that. Wesley everything power. You give me nice file, no file. I only tell you whether you want to print small size or you print big size only. Yeah, but I don't choose. I think my camera freezes. Yeah. Okay, something happened to my camera. Can you still hear me?
Can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I know, because my FP ran out of battery and
no wonder.
wait,
Your face just hang over there.
Yeah, I know. Pick one. So yeah,
hey guys, any more questions?
Yeah, mine. I will offer things like you want canvas print, you want fine art print, you want photo paper print. Yeah, those are what I do lah. But now it is more towards different domain of work where I do. Actually, to be frank, for the past 3 years, 90% of my businesses evolve around art reproduction.
Art reproduction.
Yeah.
Wesley.
Yep.
Just this question: if we were to send our files for print,
Yep.
like what is the common practice? Like normally, people export as a sRGB or Adobe RGB.
Either one is fine.
Other one is fine.
Either one is fine. No problem with that.
My understanding, like the social media platforms like Facebook or Instagram,
Yep.
they mostly work on sRGB, if I'm not mistaken.
Can you speak a bit louder?
No, like from my understanding, like the social platforms like Facebook or Instagram,
Yeah.
I think they only recognize sRGB when you post a photo.
Yep. Correct.
Oh, okay.
They will just
That's
do a
correct.
conversion. Yeah.
No, if you are shooting raw, you only make your choice. Sorry, my video screw up. Let me just put the. Okay. Sorry, let me readjust camera. Give me like 20 seconds. I got so many things connected to the computer. I think the port is giving me issues. All right. Okay. At least you can see me. And let me start the virtual camera. And
Yep, all good now.
that's very weird, Okay, never mind. Something very weird happened. Okay, I'm not gonna. It's not what I want to show you, but it now the FP comes alive, and whatever I stream from OBS doesn't show. Anyway, okay. So you were saying yes, there are applications that only recognizes sRGB, and most of the time these are the social media ones. Browser-wise, like Safari, Firefox, Chrome, Edge, they kind of recognize Adobe RGB as well, but the fact is that if your monitor does not have good coverage of Adobe RGB color space, then what's the point? You don't know what you don't see, right?
Okay.
This is one part of it. For printing, no worries. Any color space works for me. If you have a good mastery of color management, Adobe RGB is almost always preferred, but not necessary. And mind you, sRGB does not make you any lesser. All right. If you are shooting predominantly portrait where skin color is important, then sRGB works very well for you. But if you are having a model, but you are shooting predominantly the dress, that means you're a fashion photographer where the person is only like a hanger. The dress is the important one. Then Adobe RGB may be important to you if some of the color falls under that gamut. You understand? But sRGB is nothing less. And when you shoot raw, it doesn't matter. Okay, do you also know that when you are shooting raw file, it doesn't matter what you set on your camera? Your camera allows you to shoot either Adobe or sRGB, right?
Correct.
It doesn't matter when you're shooting raw. Because why? The conversion of color space takes in your raw converter, not in your camera.
Still can choose.
raw ma. If raw is already cooked, how can it be raw?
Yeah.
So ask Andy. Andy know. Andy cooks very well for Genie one. I know one. I look at their post and everything. I want to eat. You know the balcony. The balcony. You're very young one. So now, the key thing is this: when you're shooting raw, you don't have to worry. You can set whatever you want because it doesn't matter. All right. That decision of what space comes at the point of raw conversion. Okay, Andrew has a question. You have raised your hand many times, I think.
Basically, my question,
okay, Howard.
what file format prefer to print? JPEG or TIFF?
Yeah, good question. JPEG is fine, Actually, JPEG is not really evil, but you must know the limitation of JPEG. Now, if you have your color palette is very huge, and then you have not details. Look at color palette. Details don't get so degraded much when you save as JPEG, but color information get truncated a lot when you save it to JPEG. Because JPEG is like MP3, when you listen to MP3, do you hear any problem? Usually no. But if you compare it to a high definition file like a DSD file, then of course, there are certain details I冇聽過. So again, you don't know what you don't hear. This statement holds true. So now, the fact is this: if you know that you are dealing with a color palette that is quite limited and your details aren't too detailed until you know compression is going to take a toll on your image, no problem. You can give me a JPEG file. Okay, I tell you, one of my esteemed customers, that means customers who give me superior files, one of them is Ming Tian. All right, and you have probably heard of Ming Tian, right? Ming Tian is a very, very meticulous photographer, and I do ultra prints with him. All right, something that we molded together for years already. And do you know that all the files that he sent to me are actually JPEG files? Yeah, he never sent me TIFF files. He never need to send me TIFF files because he prepped his files so well that even McDonald's tastes like gourmet. Okay, so if you know your workflow, that's why the mastery of your workflow is very, very important. And this is something I cannot not reiterate so many times, because if you know exactly what you're doing and you know where are the losses and how you mitigate losses, JPEG actually works for you. But these days, cloud storage lah, drive lah, SSD lah is so affordable, right? Give me your best file lah. However, don't give me a 300 megabyte file and tell me you just want to make 4x6 inch, not feet. No point. You give me such a big file. I gotta stay here and make sure my Unify works very hard. Yeah, I know I paid 200 ringgit a month, but I don't have to work so hard to just make a 4x6 inch file. Unless you tell me it's 4x6 feet, it's a different story. All right. Quantitative and qualitative, right? Because JPEG compresses things to become 8-bit, and itself is a lossy compression format. TIFF is a lossless compression format. But if you do not know what you're doing, you save it as TIFF8, and you work from a raw file, which is 14-bit, you already truncated 6-bit of information. And you know how much is that 6-bit? You're retaining 8-bit compared to your 14-bit, you are only retaining 6% of your file information. You throw away 94.
So if convert back to TIFF 16-bit, then you get the full original file.
Now, this is a double-edged question. Be very careful what you do, because that doesn't mean to say that if you are shooting JPEG today, not raw, you shoot JPEG and then you save it as TIFF, suddenly your file becomes 16-bit. Yes, 16-bit of what? JPEG. Of the same information. You gain nothing more by increasing the file size. It's just like when you save a file already become MP3 and then you make it into a WAV file, no difference. I
mean from raw to TIFF.
Raw to TIFF, yes. Yes.
Then you get the
correct
more full information.
So remember, you can make McDonald's taste like gourmet if you know what you're doing. All right. Likewise, you can also make gourmet taste like shit if you try to be a Michelin star where all you need is just burning rubbers. Joke lah.
It makes sense. It really makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, any more questions? I'd like to take more questions before we end. I think we, 1 hour plus.
Wesley, what about the HEIC file?
Good question. I love that question. I didn't expect you to ask it anyway. HEIC is somewhat like a lossy compression format. I think they have it in the recent R series camera. HEIC is not something that is favorable to me. Number one is because HEIC only limits you to save in sRGB.
Oh, okay.
All right. And then the color profile is a bit weird. Maybe they need a few more revisions to beef that up. Whereas JPEG allows you to save it as Adobe RGB.
Yeah.
Right? You can still choose sRGB or Adobe RGB in JPEG, but HEIC only limits you in sRGB, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
And the compression seems a bit ugly. It's like a first specification. Give them a few more. JPEG also took a while to become good. Because JPEG, you can, by the way, JPEG, you can select compression ratio, right? How much compression you want to do, right? So if you work in, let's say Lightroom or Photoshop, and you save it as a JPEG 10 or JPEG 12, it is almost near to lossless, actually, because the compression is so little that it don't compress. You want a big file, I'll give you a big file, don't compress much. Right? Where HIE is actually pretty heavily compressed.
Okay.
And you will probably have problems posting HIE files now, right? I'm not sure whether Facebook even supports it. Does it?
I'm not sure too. I don't have anything that shoots HIE.
Okay. But it's a good question. Bear in mind, this is an upcoming standard. So I think they will revise the standard more and more to make it better. Yeah. Instead of talking about file formats, there's one in particular that is very interesting that I grow to be very fond of these days, but it's only very limited to very few cameras. It's the HLG format, Hybrid Log Gamma. Hybrid Log Gamma is actually a video standard coined by BBC and NHK. Nippon TV. They in 2016 they actually have this hybrid log gamma standards for wide dynamic range video to be streamed across broadcasts. So what it means is that it actually supports wide color space, and many color TVs supports this. Anything I think above 3,000 ringgit and above kind of support HLG or Dolby Vision, or you probably have heard of some of this, right? But HLG is something that's quite widely supported these days, especially by Panasonic. Now, so Panasonic S-series cameras, the Lumix S-series cameras, which I own one. I am using the S1R as one of my many other cameras. It supports something called HLG photo. Now, when you shoot in HLG format, what happens is that it gives you full dynamic range. It's like, okay, in video, you are familiar with log format, right? Who shoots video here?
No.
Yeah. Video has got something called log format. That's why people say, oh, it must be S log lah, V log lah, whatever log lah, you know. Why? Because of dynamic range. Color aside, it's a very desaturated look one, but you can actually grade it easily. But what you want is to protect your dynamic range so that your highlights and your shadows are not clipped. Think of that terms. Now you apply to digital photo. HLG photo is actually very, very nice. There's only one problem. The color standards can only be read by a HLG compliant device. Again, colors are device dependent. So either I put it on a TV or how? Because my computer systems, most computer monitors don't understand HLG one, except for one. The ISO monitor that I use in Giclee Art. Okay, it has a HLG mode, all right, which you can actually output directly to see. Now, why am I so excited about something that seems to be so niche is because if you want to conform to color standards, like those days you see McDonald's and KFC has menus, right? Printed menus they put on top of the counter. Now everything becomes digital screen, right? So if let's say you're a commercial photographer, you want to shoot for color accuracy, why don't you embrace the HLG method? Because HLG allows you to conform to digital displays, and the color standards you don't have to struggle, because one, you can just match it against your TV. Or if it looks nice on your Samsung or Panasonic TV, so be it. it's going to be nice. You know how simple that is? Rather than, am I supposed to conform to Rec 709 or BT 2100 or whatever? Xiao, man. How am I going to do this? I also don't know what is this. Man, again, you know, I already struggle with sRGB and Adobe G. Now you tell me about this Rec lah, this BT lah, so crazy. So HLG is the way to go lah, you know, in that terms lah. And I kind of liked it lah. So if you even shoot video and conform to the HLG, which you can, all the Atomos recorder supports HLG, by the way. Sony cameras also support HLG video. So you can actually shoot it to that and just grade it accordingly and put it on the TV. It looks like on the TV, it will look nice on all TV, and certainly all TV comes at the cinema display. Okay, so HLG is something to keep in mind. Yeah.
And show photo.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I have to back off a bit.
Just now.
Yeah, this is
how. Photo. Wow.
Let the camera focus a bit. Does it focus?
It's a panorama shot.
Yeah, it's a panorama shot. Yeah.
Just glossy.
Yeah, it's glossy.
Take some time.
Wow.
So jealous, see this type of photo.
Yeah, we shoot together lah. But these days, I don't know, the other day when I tried to start bringing things back to my home on I don't know, 2 months ago. How long are we MCO already? I completely lost count. Months already, you know. So I start to bring some of the things back. I don't want to leave it in my studio and my gallery. So I start to bring. Suddenly I find that I actually have 6 bags of equipment, you know. 6 bags, and these are all cameras and lenses, discounting my lighting equipment. So I stopped taking. I said, wow, if I were to become a professional photographer, I actually have more gears than most of them in town. And I'm not even a professional photographer. I'm not even a photographer lah. So I got today I got 9 lens systems sunk under one mount, which is Leica L mount. Leica L mount, because I use Sigma FP, I use Panasonic Lumix. So it's easy for me to adapt all the other lenses onto this mount. That's the beauty about using mirrorless cameras. So it enables me to do more with less. So I got nine systems. Yeah. So I also bought Canon lenses from Howard. Right? I put it into my Lumix camera and my FP. Yeah.
Using adapter?
Adapter lah, the MC21. I have L mount, I have M mount, I have Canon EOS mount, Pentax mount. I have Pentax 645. I have 4x5. What else? I also forgot. I have Nikon mount, which goes through Canon mount to become L mount. That's very weird. Double adapter. All right. And I also have one more thing I forgot. I hardly use one. Can't remember. Altogether, I think I got 9. Yeah, crazy. So now I have to have different bags for different group of lenses. Yep.
Wow. Okay, guys, any more questions for Wesley? It's almost 11 now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most of them left.
Also, only few of us. Yes, the hardcore one. Yeah. Okay, Wesley, very last question from Yellowboots. If we were to send some jobs to you, do you enjoy some discount? Some special discount.
Fortunately and unfortunately, my prices are fixed because everyone follows my price list, which was determined. My last revision was 2016. So for 5 years, I have not changed my price list. So, and my prices are transparent. That means it's not due to favoritism or whatever, right? Everyone follows the same tier, and if you qualify for discount, then you go with it. So all my prices are on my website. Let me key in my website here.
Yep. If you could share your information, if members wanted to, you have to try their first print.
So you go under print prices. Yeah, you go under print prices, and you just key in the size of print you want to print, and then the price will be shown. Yeah, and no SST, no GST. Yeah.
Are you printing no more SST already?
No. For me, no. I am not too micro. I'm not too SME. Sorry.
do you conduct workshop or classes?
No, not these days anymore. I have totally no time. I only take overseas engagement. So 2 years ago, I was quite busy. I go to India many times. I go to Russia. I go to Vietnam. Yeah, and before that was Indonesia. Yeah, other than that, no lah. Because I don't offer classes and let people sign up. It's because of the brands that I represent. They actually send me there. So then my cost is covered by the brand, and all my out-of-pocket expenses is covered by them as well. So the clients, the participants don't have to pay, or they want to pay. That's up to them. It's nothing to do with me.
Oh.
Two years ago, my charge rate was 1,000 USD per day per brand.
Sure.
I represent 3 brands. Yeah, ISO, Ilford, and X-Rite. Yeah. But X-Rite has changed because X-Rite products has been taken out of X-Rite and put it under Calibrite. Yeah.
Oh, they changed.
Organization change because the lower end products are taken out already. So they only maintain from i1 Pro and above.
Oh.
So like Color Monkey and all these lower end products, Color Checkers, all this goes under Calibrite already. Yeah, it's a different company altogether.
Okay.
So, but the Colorati are still listed under X-Rite website. So like myself, I'm a Colorati master. So I do not know whether they are going to move that or retain with X-Rite. Yeah. As it is right now, it's status quo. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so other questions, yeah, guys. You know that I think we should end our session. It's almost 11, yeah. So thank you so much, Wesley, for sharing your beautiful print knowledge and experience with us. Yeah. So I think we learned a lot from you tonight for sure. And
Michael, I have to confess, Michael.
Yep.
I only went through 50% of my slides.
I know. And we already very blur. Very blur.
My head,
and more than half the class already left.
But at least one thing we learned tonight, at least we can pronounce the word Giclee.
Giclee, yeah.
Yeah, Giclee, yeah.
Yeah, but it's fun, It's fun. When the time permits and it's allowable, come to Youth Gallery because we have all the infrastructure there. And it'll be easier to do a small session like a 3-5 person, and then do very intimate sessions half a day. Then no rush. Then we learn a lot faster because you get to work on your file there and then and make small prints, and then you learn again, and then that's what I would love to do, Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
How about you want to do a group photo or
you group photo? Anyone? Camera on, please.
Not many people.
Camera on.
Not many people.
Oh, I see Patrick's tonight. Hey, Patrick's will never ask questions tonight.
Andrew. 1. Hello.
Yeah.
1. Okay. Michael.
Yeah, I will take a quick picture. Okay. Smile. Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Wesley.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.